course, technology. That's what it is. Of course, it wants to, do crazy stuff. But hey, Vinyl Conversations, you are tuned into a special edition. Welcome, welcome, welcome to what is this? Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, and you are tuned into Vinyl Conversations. How are you guys doing today? It's 6 p.m. Well, 6:10. Sorry for the delay. Technology does weird stuff at the last moment. So for some reason, you start hearing the delay. It's the technology god. It's not us.
ain't nothing we can do about it, but we're going to push through. So bear with us. If you can hear the echo, we apologize. If you can't, we don't apologize. How about that?
That part. So, Vinyl Conversations, this is the home of where we talk about the lyrics of specific songs. No matter what genre it is, we talk about those lyrics in this group. So let's get the disclaimer stuff out the way. We do not own the rights to any of this music. It is for entertainment purposes only. Facebook, don't mute us, please. We already got this echo thing going on.
Right. We do not own the rights to this music. It is for entertainment and educational purposes only.
That part. So, without further ado, and echo delays, please. Today we have lead singer and guitarist of the successful 80s R&B duo, The System, Mick Murphy, joining us today. Please welcome him.
Hey, Latifah, Tamarisha, how you doing? How are you?
Hey.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.
Yes.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna play like a little intro of your song, and then we'll get into the lyrics.
Okay, great.
All right, here we go.
That song, I hate this echo. It's Don't Disturb This Groove.
Yes.
The classic that they still on the radio.
It's poetry. It was always meant to be poetry.
The classic poetry.
Yes.
Of the system. So I'm gonna just jump right into the lyrics because I don't have a lot of this echo is bothering me. I'm gonna try not to sing it because it's hard not to sing the songs, It says, pay attention, are you listening? It says you're my favorite girl. Excuse me for the moment, I'm in another world. On a mountain by a fountain, flowers blooming everywhere. With Venus and secret, the picture's very clear. And then it goes into hang the sign on the door. It says, don't disturb this groove. So Did you write it first, or did you all write it?
Well, the way the song started out, David and I have collaborated like this for years. I mean, from the early days, he would come up with a track with the basis of a musical track, and we would get together, and I would come up with ideas for lyrics, rearranging the track to fit the lyrics because it started with the track. So this one, we were working on the album, and he sent me a cassette, and on the cassette it said groove. So that's what it started with, and I don't know where the whole concept of "hang the sign upon the door" came from, but it developed out of the lyric. I think I came up with the verse first. On a mountain by a fountain, flowers blooming everywhere was part of the poetry that I had. And sometimes I'll just write little sections and I'll just keep going back. I'll go eat dinner, I'll come back, and sometimes it could take me a couple days, sometimes even a week. That one was one that took a few days, but as soon as I got that "hang a sign upon the door" hook, as far as the music goes, we went back and we added a 2-bar phrase, because that phrase, if you notice, is like a stop, and then there's an extra 2 bars put in. So we inserted that, and it ended up being a great one.
Yeah, it's definitely without a doubt a great one.
Yeah, and there were a lot of verses. There were a lot of verses, because it's always that sometimes the first verse comes really easy, and you want the second verse to have just as much impact. So I think what took a long time on that song was getting a second verse that wasn't just a repeat of the first verse, but had a slightly different idea, and it raised the intensity of the song. But it was really a love song that came from the heart.
So when you say it came from the heart, this is some experience, the exotic whispers to the listeners.
Erotic whispers for the listener. Yeah, let the music fill the air.
Yeah, let the music fill the air. So when you guys came up with the "Don't Disturb This Groove," was it in a sense that, how when you got roommates and stuff like that, you take a sign out, or in a hotel room, you don't want the maid to come in and disturb your groove?
No, I didn't even, you know what? The hotel room came out of the director of the video coming with that concept. I think what's great about songs is sometimes people have their own vision of what the song is. For me, "Don't Disturb This Groove" was just like, let's just hold it right where it is. Let's keep this magic moment. Don't let anything stop what we have right now. That was like the idea I had in my head. But the hotel room was a great and very provocative idea that the director had.
It worked, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not what it was about. It's and when people think of "Do Not Disturb," it's like that little thing you stick in the door, you hang on the door at the hotel.
Yeah, actually, we have those coming out. We're gonna be printing those and putting those out, because that was a great thing. A lot of people have asked about it. So we're gonna have some door hang signs, at least when we put out the new album.
And authentic.
Absolutely.
So how did the concept of the video come together?
Well, no, we worked. Well, when there were record companies, or when we were signed to a record company, different directors would send in concepts for a video. So on that video, we worked with a then young director named Jim Hirschletter, and it was kind of guerrilla style. Guerrilla style is like, yeah, you have an idea of what you're going to do, but you're kind of playing it by ear. You're kind of, So we had a lot of fun making that video. In fact, the hotel that we did shot the video in Los Angeles, it's like on the corner of La Cienega. It was on the corner of La Cienega and Santa Monica. It's no longer there anymore. So that was one piece of history long gone from Los Angeles. But he had this idea to take us out to Joshua Tree Park. You're from LA, right? You're in LA?
Yeah, Joshua Tree. Yeah, we're familiar with it.
Yeah. So we went out to Joshua Tree Park and he was like, Mick, just run through the bushes, run. So he did all these shots of me running. We had this great T-Bird. I think it was like a 1956 T-Bird or 57. I don't know why we've always been associated with cars. It's like every video we do, each director's like, yeah, we need a car. We need a car in this. When we did This Is For You in Paris, we had one of those long body Cadillacs, a red Cadillac. So I don't know why we're always associated with cars when really we should be associated with a rocket ship.
Especially out in Joshua Tree.
They came out like on the 60s. So, you know, cars are 60. So you playing it in a car, you know.
Yeah.
You got a little bit pop in the or whatever it was back then and play that in the car. That was
Yeah. Actually, there was we did a great one show where we performed the song. Oh, I forgot the lady's name, but they actually had a 56 T-Bird that they drove behind us on stage and a lady got out with the hair and it's really the coolest video. You should look it up. It's I forget the name of the show, but it was a really cool one.
Yeah, because the whole video gives you like a Cali vibe. You got the drop top, you're in, the wind's blowing. So it's like a straight Cali type vibe. Because when this song comes on in the club, that's that feel good type music.
Absolutely. Well, it was all done in California, and we had a great time doing it.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's excellent. To know that's the story behind that. Because you do admit, you know, I'm not in this world. I'm in another world with Venus and Cupid. So, yeah, I can see how, but you know, you can't really take a date on it.
Well, no, I just say rocket ship because we're really like rocket scientists. That's like we're more future oriented, but you know, they made it a classic by including the car and by taking us out to California and doing Joshua Tree Park, and it still stands up. You know, it still stands up today.
It still comes on like the radio. What is it like the love jams? I can't remember the guy. He does it so often that comes on. I'm sing that. I was gonna sing it right now, but
yeah.
My job.
So how did you and David get together?
Okay, that's a great story. So way back in the beginning, I was in like a lot of local bands, doing clubs and everything as a teenager. And eventually, as I got older, we were trying to get a record deal. And for some reason, the band I had, and the band was great. The band's name was Jack Sass, a great New York City band. We couldn't get a record deal. So I decided I have to start learning more about the inner workings of the record business. So I worked I met this guy, Dennis King, Jimmy Douglas. They were both at Atlantic Records. Dennis King had a band called Clear. I don't know if you remember them. You Better Get Tough. They actually had a bunch of hits. They were from Baltimore. So I ended up being their road manager. I road managed them for about a year and a half. Actually, we did the Rick James and Prince tour. So
wow.
Yeah, it was a great tour. So at some point they were looking for a keyboard player. So Dennis said, "Hey, come on, Mick, let's go. You know, I'm going to check this singer who I'm interested in maybe producing." So we went, and David was the keyboard player. So I said to Dennis, I was like, "Well, the singer's okay, but the keyboard player, maybe you should really get him in Clear." So David started playing in Clear as a backup musician. And he had no idea that I was a singer, that I had been in bands. He just knew me as kind of a road manager. And you know, when you whistle while you work, I sing while I work. So I was singing and he was like, this guy has a pretty good voice, still not knowing that I've been a singer since I was a teenager. He didn't know any of this. So one day out of the blue, he called me up and he said, "Hey, I'm working on this song, this track. I have this track, and I'd wonder if you'd like to come and maybe write something over it." He had some studio time that he had bartered from doing other sessions. You know how you do a session, you don't get paid, but the studio owner owes you studio time. So it turns out that initially he had written the track for Madonna because Madonna was his neighbor in the music building, which is a building in Manhattan on 8th Avenue. And it's all music loft. Everybody in there is, they rehearse and they record and everything. So when he played it for me, it's really odd because, when I was in the band and coming to the end of my tenure with the band I was in, I was always listening to groups like Kraftwerk. I don't know if you're familiar with them, Trans Europe Express. They were like a German techno group, not techno like techno now, but technology. They were using drum machines. And I was listening to a lot of the bands that were coming out of the UK that were using synthesizers and they were using drum machines. And I loved Rick James. I went to see Rick James. It's odd that I ended up on the tour with Rick James and Prince, but I went to see Rick James and I was like, wow, if I could come up with a band that's a mix between Kraftwerk and Rick James, what would that sound like? So when David played me the track that he had been working on, I think he'd been working on it for months with this new technology. He was using a Oberheim drum machine and an OB8 synthesizer. And he was able to, using one keyboard, split the keyboard into different sounds and program them so that the whole song, you could hit a button and the whole song would play, all the parts. So he played this song for me and I felt a bolt of lightning go right through me. I felt it. I was like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. This is what I've been waiting for. So being a songwriter and always, I always played around with writing songs, original songs and stuff. I came up with something immediately. They had a title called Crimes of Passion, but I was like, now, in times of passion. So that would give me, because I couldn't think of a concept around crimes of passion, but in times of passion, it gave me a concept to build upon. So I sang him a real quick hook. He was like, okay, great. Go home, finish the lyric, and I'll pick you up tomorrow and we'll go to Long Island and we'll record this song in the studio. So he shows up at my mother's house in Jamaica, Queens, where I'm from, in his Volkswagen Squareback, and we head to Long Island and we start recording the song. And he hadn't actually heard all the lyrics and everything, but I'm telling you, it came together like it was meant to be. It just, everything fit. Every part worked. Every part fit. In fact, I want to show you this. This is the test pressing of that song, In Times of Passion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not gold. It's not platinum, but it's the seed of everything that we've been able to accomplish from that day. So we worked on the song that whole day and mixed it into the night, knowing what we're doing, but not knowing what we're doing, because we both have had studio experience, both musicians, and we know when something's right. So we finished the song. I think I got home about 6 o'clock in the morning. And at the time, I had the basement of my mother's house, and I had a huge sound system. So I went in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I put the cassette on, boomed it, and I was like, this is it. This is it. This is it. This is it. I know it. So I called Dennis King, who was my mentor and a mastering engineer at Atlantic. He's the guy who takes the tapes and presses the lacquer, right? Which is what this is, a test pressing. So I said, Dennis, I got the song, man. Can you press up like some test pressing for me? Because I knew 3 people at record companies as a result of my being a road manager and, my hustle to try to learn the business. So I knew them, and a couple of them had said, hey, if you ever do anything, let me hear it. So I called the 2 people that I knew, Jim Delahan, God rest his soul. He passed away a few weeks ago at Atlantic, and Ray Caviano, who had his own label RFC, because I had worked with the group Change, and through that relationship, I met him. So I took it to Ray, the test pressing. He played it. He's like, man, this is great. This is great. I want to sign you guys. So I said, no, let me go. I have one more person I want to play it for. So I took it to Atlantic Records, Jim Delahan, graciously said, yeah, come on up. I mean, just a really gracious guy. He said, come on up. I'm not sure he expected to be any good because, you see guys who are road managers and, glorified roadies, everybody's going to make a record. So I brought the record up to Atlantic Records, and he listened to about 30 seconds of it, and he said, hold on a minute, I'll be right back. So he goes into a back room, and he brings in Jerry Greenberg, who I knew the history of Jerry Greenberg from being in the business. He was the youngest president of a record company. He was the president of Atlantic, Led Zeppelin, you name it. He signed all these groups, right? So he comes in, and he sits in a chair and turns his back to me because his speakers are on the wall. He plays about a minute of it, and he turns around with the biggest smile and grin you've ever seen, and he says, you got yourself a record deal. So that's how we became the System. So I went down to the phone booth on the corner because there were no cell phones then. It was a phone booth. Literally a phone booth on the corner of, 53rd and 6th Avenue. And I called David. I was like, David. He was like, Mike, I was just listening to it. I don't know. I don't know if the mix is right. I'm like, David, we have a record deal. So from there, we were able to parlay that into, an album deal. And, what came next was You Were in My System, which ended up being even bigger on a worldwide, basis.
Yeah,
That's on there too.
Yeah.
So when you got the record deals, actually put out the record, how long did it take you to put it out?
Actually, it was pretty quick. It was probably like a couple months. We made the record. They signed us. The record started getting a lot of airplay in New York. So I guess over the course of that winter, that late fall and winter, the record was so hot in the clubs. We would do like 3 shows a night, like 3 track dates in Jersey. We do the Bronx. We were gigging literally like 3 shows a night every weekend. And from there, we had another single called Sweat, which was like a second single. So then the record company president came and said, hey, you guys, we're ready to do another single. I was like, oh, not so fast, not so fast. I was like, so what would you advance us to do another 12-inch? And what would you advance us to do an album? Well, little did he know, we had already been working on other songs. So we had 7 songs pretty much done. We just had to record them. So he made us an offer to do an album, and we did an album. And that album was the Sweat album, which had You're in My System. It had Sweat, I Won't Let Go. And it just ended up being a huge record for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you guys get into the whole soundtrack stuff? Because you guys did what, Beach Street?
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop?
Mm-hmm. So Beach Street came about because we were like the hot, can I use this word? We were the hot shit in New York at the time with the style we were doing. And even though both of us like loved hip hop, I mean, during that era, it was like Africa Bambaataa. It was like the Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash. It was like Slick Rick. We were loving hip hop, but I knew that the difference that we had was we had this tight electronic sound that very, very few people had at the time. And so we kind of stuck with that, and we kind of were able to hang our hat on that. So when they were making the Beach Street soundtrack, Atlantic called us and said, hey, do you have a song for Beach Street? Yeah, of course we do. I think we wrote that song like in a day. And that's a song I've listened back to. It's got it's a great track, but the lyric I think was really inventive because it compares a break dancer to someone who's able to fly in the air. It's impossible that a man can fly. Bend his body into the night. I mean, the lyric was really, and it came quickly. So then they said, hey, you guys want to be in the movie? So we're like, sure. So we were in that movie, and we got a lot of calls actually to write songs for films. That was the case with Beverly Hills Cop and Coming to America, and there were a lot of other films that we had songs in.
Man, just those ones alone are so classic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are hip hop classics. Coming to America,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, that was an opportunity we got. Nile Rodgers produced that, and I guess we were lucky because we were in Atlantic and the soundtrack was on Atlantic, and they asked us at the time, "Hey, would you like to work on this song?" And of course, we said yes.
Look,
That was
so
a
are you guys in three?
I'm sorry,
Are you guys in part three?
part
On the
3?
soundtrack?
No, part 2. You mean no?
Oh, so yeah.
You know what happens with music if you don't. They want the person that has a hit right then. And if you have a hit right then and a style that fits, they're going to use it. But hopefully, if they make a part 3, because we have a new album coming out in 2021 that we've been working on probably for the last year, and it's in our mode, and it's really a great project. Hopefully, we'll get a lot more soundtrack work.
All right, so I'm gonna ask this question before you talk about your future endeavors. I always ask all the other one question. It could be more than one thing. It could be not yet. It could be just one thing. It could be whatever. So my question is, when did you realize that you were famous? Like when you, what moment did you say, "Oh man, like was it a fame? Was it
Famous?
what was it that you said, "Hey, like I'm famous. Like people know who I am."
You know what? I got to be honest. I'm really kind of shy, to be honest with you. No, for real. So I was a little uncomfortable with. So now you got to realize that you used to going wherever you want to go, eat wherever you want to eat, hang out, do whatever you want. There's no reports because nobody like, look at that guy acting like a fool. Look at, there's no report. But once you're known, there's going to be reports. I saw this person doing that, or I saw this person doing that. So not that I've done, anything to be ashamed of ever. It's just it's a little uncomfortable when people are watching what you do. So I never really liked the fame. I like the success. I like to be known as someone who could, as a teammate with David, come up with song after song after song under pressure, under any circumstance. We're both kind of workaholics, and a little bit, we're perfectionists to an extent. But I think the greatest thing we have is that synergy that, like we haven't made a record in 7 years, right? And we were like, "Hey, Dave, what are you doing? Mick, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Man, let's make a record. What else are we going to do? What are we going to do?" And I'm telling you, like within a couple of months, we had 10, 11, 12 songs, and all in our vein and all new, our style, but fresh. Now it's taken a lot longer because of COVID to record everything and to get all the pieces together. And also because of the changes in the way the industry functions. Like now we're basically starting over. We don't have a record label, but we have a great team. I want to shout out our team, the System Army, Lloyd Harvey in London, Cecilia, Ever Ready Steady in New York. We have a new online publicist person, Chanel. We got a new radio guy, Randy. And of course, David Frank, and the team remains the same. So, it's like you're starting up a whole new army and you got to pull all the pieces together. And it's when you're starting up that you realize all the things you don't have and that you need. And it takes a while to get those pieces back together. But, I think it's going to be a very successful project, and the music's really good. I'm really thrilled with it.
That's awesome.
So instead of the whole famous thing, you would say the successfulness is you guys coming together again, and
Success, yeah, the success and the synergy that we have and the originality, and that part of it is what thrills me. I'm telling you, it's funny because I think David will agree with this, that he'll have tracks that have many, many parts and sections. And somehow I'm able to distill the sections that work in the framework of what the system sound is and put together something that's so us, and that's, you can actually it's a song, and it doesn't take us long at all to do that. We sit in a room and we just can do it. So, I mean, that's a gift from God and a blessing. And, and people wouldn't expect that two people from completely different backgrounds and different places would be able to come together, in this way. And I hope people get a lesson from that, we're all the same flesh and blood. We all have our ideas, but we're really humanity. That we're the same race, the human race. I know that sounds corny, but David and I have been partners for, I don't know, 35, 36 years.
Wow.
Marriages don't last that long. No, it's great. And I think part of the great thing is that sometimes we do really disagree, and we have to go to neutral corners. We got to go to neutral corners for a few days and be like, let me let this simmer down a little bit. But we're always able to bounce back and come together and make great music together.
That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Still making moves.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, you're saying you got the new album coming out on the 2020. Is there anything else coming out, like movies or
Nothing yet? I mean, we have
anything?
a song coming out in the next 2 weeks. That's part of the album. It's slightly different. It's a slightly different thing from what we usually do. We usually kind of stay out of politics and social issues, but I think this time there's a lot that needs to be said. So there are a few songs on the album that kind of skirt around the issues of the social issues that we're going through now. This song we have coming out now is called, I guess I can reveal that, it's called People Get Up. And we have Grandmaster Melly Mel.
What?
Yeah, Grandmaster Melly Mel, spitting fire. Funny story, because when I told you that when I was young, I was in a band and I was trying to learn my way around the business. I actually went on the road with Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and the Sugar Hill Gang as a sound man, right? I was a sound man. So my job was to make each one of them sound louder than the other that night. I don't even think Melly will remember this, but so we have Grandmaster Melly Mel, and we have Sandra St. Victor from the Family Stand, who I basically got on my knees and pleaded with her. I was like, Sandra, I need you on this. I need you on this. She started saying, why don't you get this one, or why don't we get that one? I was like, Sandra, I need you, baby. I need you, boo-boo. So she came around and she's just burning. She's just burning on this track. So, it's coming out in the next couple weeks, and it's slightly political, but it has the meaning that, hey, we're all under the same sun, and the best is yet to come. That's kind of like the sentiment of the song.
Right.
And so we're looking forward
to that would be my moment right there. Like, all those people you say you work with and being with Rick James and
you know what? It's funny because I end up, when I was younger like that, I would always end up with people that I idolized, and not like chasing them around. Like, I love Luther Vandross. I ended up working for Luther Vandross. I mean, it was like, and it's just weird. Like, I love Rick James. I love Prince, because I had a similar band in New York that was playing a similar kind of funk to him. But I end up on the road with Prince and Rick James, like, come on, we're touring with Lionel Richie. Come on, these are things that, when I was a kid, you kind of like dream about it, watching Soul Train and then being on Soul Train. I don't know. I can tell you that it's really been a lot of a dream come true. I mean, there are people who have more riches and who've had higher successes and gold records and everything. But for a little kid from Jamaica, Queens, 149th Street, Suffolk and Linden, I mean, hey, it's all cream and cherries from here,
Yeah, longevity.
Yes, indeed.
So, can you give everyone like all your social media handles so we can know where we can find the music?
Okay, well, most of them they start with The System something. So our website is thesystemmusic.com. We're on Facebook at the system. Oh, the music system on Facebook. We're on Instagram, the system music. It's all thesystemmusic.com or the system music dot something. And I'm the system Mick. I'm systemic Mick on Facebook, on Instagram. But you're going to hear a lot more about us because we're really pumping it up to be back in the mainstream, and we're working with a great team, and we're really looking forward to what's coming now with this new record.
So that is congratulations on all of that coming, all that happened. You definitely are legend and a tribute to all music, not just hip hop or ballads or whatever. It's all overall just listening to you and all these great people. You just that's a hell of a resume.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And
So sorry. So we'll definitely post everything as far as all your links in the group and on here, so everybody will know where to go and find the music.
Sure.
And we definitely appreciate you coming on.
Oh, I've had a great time, Latifah and Tamarisha. So I'm gonna send you an email with all the links, okay?
Great.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nick. Have a great evening.
All right, you too. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, man. That was all this music here that they did. That is crazy.
Man, all those people. Like I told you, listen, peasants.
Were you doing this, dusting your shoulders?
Yeah, I popped my collar. Boy, what?
No, but he's like he said, it's like a longevity, humble to be in like those spaces at those times, and that. What can you say?
Can't say nothing. You can't say nothing. His resume is outstanding. Like I said, he's definitely cool. That energy was cool. We really appreciate him coming out and for you all tuning in to us. I always say this every time, you know what I mean? You want to buy your sister some lunch or, you want to get us some gas money or something. Our cash app is Vinyl Conversations. You know what I mean? We always looking for donations. You like what we doing. We love what we do. So, you know what I mean? Tune in.
We got on Friday. Yeah, Friday. We got
another special edition.
We got on Friday.
You see how hard I'm working? I need to eat. Tuesdays. Yeah, I mean.
On Friday we got Greg Nice.
Greg Nice.
Nice and smooth.
Nice and smooth is funky. Y'all know nice and smooth is funky. Oh, so hip. My bad. Anyway.
All we wanna do. Oh, okay, yeah, my bad. So y'all definitely stay tuned for that one. It's a special edition, so that one's at 6 p.m. again, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Friday. 6
p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Friday, and it's Friday, so I'm gonna need something to drink. So drop that cash app. You know what I mean? We're gonna have a party with you here. I'm just kidding.
So look, also, again, if you guys did hear the echo, forget we apologize, but for some reason it's just this technology thing just didn't want to work with us today.
We kind of just had to get the show out the way, guys. We tried all we could to fix it, but we was already late, so we just moved in. There's no echo now, so for whatever reason, when he was on, there was an echo for us. But he probably had a whole little setup, you know what I mean? And we just over here, you know what I mean? We the peasants he's dismissing. He asked us to fix our video camera. I was like, video camera? I'm on a laptop. I ain't rich. Yeah. But so yeah, we apologize for that. Hopefully you still got through it and liked it. Friday again, another episode. Merchandise. Follow us, like, repeat, share, do whatever you need to do. We still appreciate y'all.
All that good stuff. So we'll see you guys on Friday. But Sunday. Don't forget on Sunday we got the legendary Willie Esco in the building, clothing line. So yeah, we in there on Sunday. Willie Esco.
Willie Esco. I already know what I'm about to call him. So I'm gonna holler at y'all.
What you gonna call him?
Nope. We gotta watch on Sunday. Bye y'all.
All right. We see you guys on Friday. Peace.